Well, we still have one big one left tonight.
It is the biggest one tonight.
It's the heavyweight championship. Yes, the UFC went to a new format this time with the heavyweight unification title bout entitled Judgment Day and the lightweight and heavyweight tournament underneath it. But this one is for all the marbles. Mark Coleman and Dan Severn. Coleman unbeaten in the octagon, and Dan Severn with 2 losses. Here's a look at the tail of the tape for this heavyweight championship unification bout. Mark Coleman, 32, and that's a big, big question mark for Dan Severn at 38, 6 years his senior. Severn is 20 pounds heavier. It's Columbus, Ohio against Coldwater, Michigan, and both guys are wrestlers, well decorated, Jeff, as far as U.S. wrestling is concerned. And here comes Mark Coleman, undefeated in the octagon.
Well, Don, you've seen both of these athletes. How would you break down their striking skill and their grappling ability? Who do you give the edge to?
I would give the edge to Dan Severn in the grappling ability. I'd have to go with Mark as far as the striking ability is because he's a little bit more flexible and can use the strength with that flexibility.
Obviously, both train well. They're both big. They're both strong. Coleman, freestyle wrestler. He obviously has done all forms of wrestling, so he's great at grappling, good on the ground, and obviously he's capable of good strikes. The deciding factor could be stamina. Who would you think owns conditioning?
I think I'd have to give the edge to Dan. Dan's a hard-working athlete, and like I said, I've been around Dan for 14 years. He's been part of my life, and that man works hard.
Add to that the fact Coleman coming off of a virus, edge to 7.
All right, there's a look at the Coleman camp, including his mom and dad and his girlfriend, Kelly. And here comes the beast, Dan Severn, the winner of the Ultimate 95 and UFC 5 champion. And he has not been in the octagon since that victory in the super fight, which was one that both he and Ken Shamrock wished they could reverse. That was UFC 9 in Detroit in May of '96. When Severn won with the majority decision.
That was supposed to be a big battle of skill, and it turned out to be more of a battle of wills as the athletes squared off, neither one initiating, trying to draw the other out. Many people felt it was a boring fight, but tactically, each one was testing the other and really trying to break them. And ultimately, in the 3 big exchanges,
if I had a bicycle and I could travel 10 miles an hour, and a train travels at 50 miles an hour, and I got to travel a 30-minute distance, how many apples does Mary have left in the basket?
You're mad.
Got a monkey. Okay. Good luck, you fight smart.
I'm not sure what that conversation was about, but Severn and Coleman have made their way into the octagon. This one to decide the ultimate warrior on the planet. For the formal introductions, here's Manny Garcia.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the moment you've all been waiting for. The main event. SEG Sports Corporation proudly presents a battle of UFC champions. Introducing first and standing to my left, a freestyle wrestler and a member of the 1992 Olympic wrestling team. He is a 2-time All-American and National Freestyle Champion, a 2-time gold medalist at the Pan Am Games, and a silver medalist at the World Games. 31 years old and fighting out of Columbus, Ohio. Stands 6 foot 1 inch tall and weighs in tonight at 240 pounds, undefeated in the octagon. With a record of 5-0, he is the UFC 10 and UFC 11 champion. Please welcome Mark the Hammer Coleman. His opponent, a Greco-Roman wrestler with over 70 international titles to his credit. He is the 1994 National AAU Greco-Roman Champion in the senior division, the Michigan State Freestyle Champion, and the AAU Sambo World Champion. The 1994 AAU Outstanding Wrestler, 38 years old, standing 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighing in tonight at 260 pounds. He fights out of Coldwater, Michigan, with a 9-2 UFC record. He is the UFC 5 champion, the 1995 Ultimate Champion, and the UFC 9 Super Fight Champion. Please welcome Dan the Beast Severn.
15-minute time limit, 2 3-minute overtimes if needed. Coleman undefeated. Severn 9-2. Only losses to Gracie and Shamrock.
Here we go.
We're underway. 2 master grapplers. How will it unfold? Both guys picking their spots, then quickly, Severn shoots for a leg.
Now Coleman able to stop that leg shot. That was no problem. Dan really didn't set it up too well.
Coleman trying to sink a choke there, Don?
Yes, sir. He's got in deep, and Dan's experienced. Dan's got nailed that.
Whoa. Right hand almost caught him.
And that one did. That right hand scored by Coleman. And a jab from Coleman. Something you don't see much in the UFC. Coleman now on the mount. Had the mount momentarily. Severn rolled quickly.
Yes, Severn deliberately turned to his stomach to avoid being caught because he was in the mount. He was actually mounted by Coleman. He could have rained some blows down, so he quickly turned. This looks like a wrestling match right now.
Yeah, what you have here is 2 fantastic wrestlers, and they've got a wrestling match going exactly like you say, except with a little bit of pounding going on.
Coleman trying to throw a couple of punches to the back of Severn's head.
What Dan needs to do right here is he needs to stand up, put the hips out, get away, come back, attack again.
I think what he's waiting for is a shift of Coleman's weight to give him a direction to go ahead and start that way.
Exactly.
You don't want to just stand up while the man's waiting for you to stand up because you'll get hit. But this is the first time we've really seen this kind of fight between 2 wrestlers where they're actually in what we call the referee's position. And now Severn felt that he couldn't go anywhere there, so he traded for the guard. But Coleman again is in the mount. He is not in the full guard.
And the one thing you have to be very leery of is the punching power of Coleman. Don, if he gets that right hand free, he can really fire.
And he can choke Dan here with this headlock.
He's trying to choke him right out.
You say put the knee in the navel, and that's pushing the chin to the chest. And as we heard earlier for Ken Shamrock, that is a type of choke.
What Dan needs to do now is bring his knees up to shift Coleman's position and roll him over to his back.
And actually, this is good. Coleman is actually using that headlock as a weapon. He's working, doing good.
Yes, he's suffocating Dan against his chest.
And the key here, if you're on the ground, Don, is not to panic, correct?
Correct. You want to stay calm at all times.
And you would think that maybe you could get hit there, but the only portion of Dan Severn's head visible to Coleman is the top, and that's a bare hand going against the skull. And as we've seen at the UFC, that usually results in a broken hand, not a knockout.
Now Severn punching from the ground.
Not a good area to hit.
Those were little rabbit ones trying to get Coleman to move, shift position, and that's it.
Coleman shoved him out. And Severn tapped out. And Coleman is on fire. Oh, is he charged up like a caged lion?
Well, he really built that headline